And welcome in to another Monday Night live stream. Hopefully, you are all having a good day. I know my day was interesting, hence the name of the stream, the emergency transmitter visit. So, hopefully, I look and sound good, or at least sound good. um, Let me know if you can hear me okay. I did I guess we'll start with that. I've decided to kind of stop pursuing 1080 p and just go back to the 720p, the stuff I know works, the stuff that I can do reliably, and just focus on the content as opposed to um, just that kind of stuff. The music level probably was louder, I will admit. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of set the volume, and I don't have a really good way to listen to it back yet. I need to do that. I actually have a headphones adapter here for the switcher, or yeah, for the switcher. Uh, but earbuds do not work in it, and so I need to get a regular headset. And oddly enough, in this entire house, we don't seem to have a regular set of earbuds. They're all the tip ring sleeve, and that does not work in this adapter. So uh, we will get on that at some point. And so let me just make sure everything else is looking correct. So far, so good. Alrighty, so let's see who's here tonight. So Joe is in the house. Oops. Joe is the first one today. Doug Force was second. Eric is third. Welcome in. Ashley is in the house. She was fourth. This is a test of the Emergency Broadcast Network. Yeah, not so much, but we'll talk about that. If you are not aware, there is a big test coming up on Wednesday, so we will discuss that. Uh, Colo Radio, welcome in. And I will have to make a note of that again, like I said, for the audio level in the future. Uh, Eric, gotta love you, Eric. 720p looks good for him, so that's what I like to hear. So, um, I guess let's start with today's unscheduled visit to the transmitter site. I posted a short earlier. If you happen to see the short, it was about today's little visit. So everything was going smoothly today, and then all of a sudden, our automated system emailed me and said that the transmitter room temperature was 80 degrees or above 80 degrees. And that's not good because the transmitter produces a lot of heat. It's like a data center, if you will. It just produces heat because that's what transmitters do. And we have two giant air conditioning units that will cool down the transmitter, but obviously they weren't working because the room wouldn't be 80 degrees. And I did not have enough time to copy over my pictures. So while I'm talking, I'm going to try to do that so we can have a slideshow because I feel like that's one reason why you're all here is to see things you're not used to seeing, like a transmitter site. So let me change my phone over to be a computer drive. And yes, the Google chat is still funky. Stuff is just not working right. Yes, the beauty of the 720p is the chat messages are correct. That is one positive thing about 720p. And see, Joe, you proved my point. Most people watch on their phones or small devices, and 720p looks great no matter what. Yes, this is the main transmitter at the TV station at my day job. Yes, so let me. Sorry about this. Like I said, I forgot to grab these pictures beforehand, but luckily it won't take very long to add them. So let me grab these, post them to here, and then I can copy and paste into the ATEM because the ATEM actually has a decent media player platform. It's not the world's best by any means, but for ease of use, I definitely like the ability to just drag in pictures and have them work. So the first photo that I thought I would share was actually the thumbnail photo. Is the picture I took of the transmitter looking straight up. And so this is the photo I took today. I just thought it was an interesting view up the transmitter, or tower, I should say. That's about 1,000 foot up there. Below, the first thing you see on the right or on the left side of the tower is the transmitter Studio Link dish. That is how the video gets to the from the transmitter site, or from the studio to the transmitter site, I should say. And I'm just copying some pictures over because this might be of interest to people. So let me get this stuff organized first. So that was the first thing. And then this is the units that were caused the problem. So we have two giant conditioning units, and basically when I went out to the site, it was 80 degrees, 80 plus degrees, 87 by the time I actually got there. It was 87 degrees. So I walked in, units, both units were reporting 87 degrees. So I went outside and both units were off. And that's never a good thing. So I tried resetting them, and that didn't fix it. So I went inside and had to reset the and that kind of worked. Got one working, but I didn't get both, which means there's probably a problem with one of the other unit. However, I also happened to notice that the thing was complaining about a battery alarm. Like the thermostat was complaining about the battery. And I was like, well, that's just weird. So I went to the gas station and I bought batteries. And I replaced the batteries in both thermostats. And that actually seemed to kick the one into gear. It actually started working correctly after that. So why the battery in the thermostat was bad, I don't know. I mean, those should be changed regularly and they should just work. I don't know why it was deciding to not work. And so some of you probably seen a transmitter before, but if you haven't, this is what a transmitter looks like. It's a big thing with boxes in it. And this is what the back of a transmitter looks like, where all the heat comes out. And yeah, so that thing was just put the heat today. You could just feel it. And so one of the things that I looked at was the HVAC unit itself, and you can see that the outlet temperature, oh wait, hold on, finally got to a acceptable point. And the inlet or the input temperature was still very high, but at least it was cooling the room down, and that's what's important. So any questions about that so far? Let me go back to the chat. Welcome in, Tony. Oh, my camera moved on me. That's weird. No, we don't need 8K. Nobody needs to be 8K. No. I have been outside a lot recently. Yeah, 1,000 foot mast, that's a tower. Let me go move my camera down for a second. That's bugging me. All right, that's better. So, yeah, it's 1,000 foot. Clear Life Media, awesome to see you here. Uh, Clear Life Media and I were actually going back and forth on Discord. He just built a new trailer and did their first gig. I think it was the first gig on Friday. It was a football game, so he shared a bunch of pictures with me, and I thought was pretty cool. Definitely love to see production trailers, trucks, all that stuff. Not Terrible's here. Welcome in. I'm not sure we'll get a JAU today. We'll see. My JAU counter is still broke. Why does this freaking thing still move? So yeah, we'll see if we get a JAU today. I don't know. Eric says it was hot in New York. It was about 80 degrees here today. Definitely not 87 like the transmitter site was. Nils is here. Welcome in, Nils. Glad to see you. Clear Life Media says, when I worked in TV in Nebraska, we couldn't park in the parking lot because the ice would fall. Yes, and in fact, thank you. That leads me to my next topic, which I will be releasing a video on briefly, but I will spill it with you early. So here we have a picture of an antenna. This is a TV antenna. This is an old one that we never actually used, but as Clear Life Media points out, ice is a problem, and so wrong graphic. There you go. This TV antenna was actually battered with ice. Here you can see inside of the TV antenna, it is the orange part we call a radome, and it's actually just a protective layer. But here you can see what ice does when it falls. This antenna is sitting about 50 to 60 feet away from the building, if not more. And you can see how the ice just shattered. Now, it's not very thick, plastic, but nonetheless, you can see where the damage was caused. There are several places on that antenna where you can see giant holes. I noticed today in the transmitter itself, there was a metal spot on the roof where it's clearly dented by ice, and it was a pretty big gash. I was honestly very happy it didn't come through into the building because it was V-shaped. It was clearly ice had fallen off the tower and roof. So definitely a thing to worry about. Yes, Clear Life Media is correct about that. Yeah, you don't think that the 1,000 tower is going to shed ice, but I mean, it sheds chunks of ice. You have to be there when it is thawing. It'll do serious damage. Yes, the transmitter basically is a bunch of drawers. It's a bunch of slide out modules that just go into the transmitter, and each one provides a certain amount of power, and then together they get combined and make the power that goes up the line to the antenna. And I actually have a picture of that, and I think I've shown this before on the channel. If I haven't, my bad, but I basically this is the big switch going up the tower. This decides what transmitter's on the air. And, when they said, they made a big switch back in 2009, basically that was. I can't take that picture. Oh well, I don't have a Stream Deck shortcut for it. But basically, we had to physically make a switch, and here, I can do that here. No, we can't. Why is that not working? Come on. Windows drag and drop is not letting me drag the file I want to drag. So this is where we switched. The big switch actually happened. We unplugged the one and plugged the other one in. So That was the big switch location, if you will, back in 2009. But yes, the transmitter site, or transmitter, basically a bunch of drawers, a bunch of modules, if you will. Yes, the site is nice and clean, and that was actually one thing I shot a video for because often on my FM site or my FM radio station tour, I get comments that it's not very clean and that I should do a better job. And so I actually shot a video that I'll be releasing as a short soon about how clean this site is versus the radio station site. And I made a point to basically say, this site's clean because it's enclosed. The radio station site literally has a hole on the side of the wall of the roof that I've patched, but there are several holes, first of all, from ice, and insects get in. And once insects can get in, they just start making messes, and therefore the site is dirty. It constantly needs cleaned. I'm asked for a roof. I'm going to be getting one at some point, but until that happens, I have to deal with a site that is not clean. And no matter what I do, how much cleaning I go out there and do, the next day it'll be dirty because that's what happens in a site that's in a field. This site's in a field, but this site's enclosed, and therefore it's a lot easier to keep clean. So I took a little video. I'll be releasing a short about it here soon. I hope you all enjoy it. I'm not actually mad about people's comments about that, but some people just don't understand the struggle. And if you've never had to maintain a site yourself and deal with that, then, until you do, you don't understand how just dirty things get. Not Terrible actually commented on my video today that I released earlier about how he had issues with heat at his one of his sites, and they had to keep the transmitter cool. It was a secure site, so they had to stay out there. I mean, until you've actually done some of these things, you just don't know what you don't know, and so it's not for lack of trying to keep sites clean. So I made a video. My point being, I made a video about how this site's clean because it's enclosed. So, anyway, sorry, I rant over. So, yeah, filing cabinets. That's where the little green men are stored. Yep. I'm a broadcaster. I've trained for years to change. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I can't wait to fill up my expense report where it says batteries because I had to run to a gas station and buy the most expensive batteries ever. They're just double A's, but I had to go buy I think it was $7 was their battery pack, and to get enough batteries to replace both thermostats, since we have redundant thermostat units and both needed replaced. So I had to go buy batteries for $7 or $8. So yeah, glad it was somewhat straightforward with the battery. I'm just glad you didn't have to hose the. No, the condensers were clean. They just need replaced. They're 20 plus years old, and I think either they leak or they just have electrical issues. And so I will find out more about that this week because the HVAC company is coming tomorrow. Yes, ice is going to fall off, yes. The audio is cutting out periodically? Not consistent. This is the same audio setup I've had for a long time. I haven't changed anything. Seems to happen when he screen shares. Oh, so it's probably low bit rate. I think YouTube does that weird shit where they low bit rate. David, you are crazy late today. But glad you could join. I am just giving you crap. Cleanliness does yeah, so if you're enclosed, definitely helps you stay cleaner. Let me refresh my chat again because this plugin's still not the greatest. So how's the audio now that I haven't screen shared in a little bit? Has the audio cut out at all? Like I said, this is the same exact setup I've had for 6 months now. So Hopefully. Oh, it doesn't cut out. Okay, so it's definitely a bitrate issue. Okay, I will look into that. So, uh, Nils Wonderverse. So it's not so much. It's mostly just the bugs, like the flying bugs that get in. Um, really don't have any rodents. The holes are not that big. I mean, you can't like reach through them, but there's enough holes that you just with even I can't seal up right. So it's mostly just the flying kind of bugs get in and spiders get in and make cobwebs and whatnot. And man, can spiders build cobwebs fast? I do not understand how a little creature can build a web so fast. Like, um, there was a day a couple of weeks ago where I had to go out there twice, back to back days, and I went out there, did my usual cleaning, and then came back the next day, and there was already webs. There were already things like on the floor that were dirty and needed cleaned up again, and it just boggles my mind that things can get that dirty so fast. And I just cleaned it the day before. It was 24 hours later, and it was freaking dirty already. Um, so anyway, it does. That's what it is. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into it anymore. But yeah, I mean, we have problem with bugs, not so much rodents, but definitely bugs, because rodents don't climb, and you basically have to climb up the building to get into the holes. If that makes any sense, they're not the roof; it's the gable end of the roof where the siding connects to the building, and there's just a couple shingles that are like it's actually shingled. There are a couple shingles that are like not there anymore, and so you filled a couple holes with foam, but it's exposed the elements, and so sometimes the foam will break down, or sometimes stuff just happens, and I find new holes, which is weird. I can't prove this, but I just feel like sometimes someone maybe is taking pot shots at the building because sometimes you show up and there's just like holes and you don't know where they came from or why they were there. Um, People do like to shoot at transmitter sites and towers. I don't understand why, but they feel like they want to have some fun. People shooting antennas 1,000 feet in the air, or mainly the light bulbs, they use it as target practice, and they get a reward for breaking the light bulb. That is definitely a thing people do, and it drives transmitter guys, people like myself, nuts because it costs us money. It's a safety issue. When the lights are out, we have to call the FAA and report it. But also planes or drones. If you're flying a plane or a drone, maybe you didn't see the tower, and now all of a sudden you're crashing into it. So please don't shoot at the towers. It's not that fun. It's not that rewarding. I tell you that right now. And you can go to jail, and you probably will go to jail if someone can figure out who it was. So I'm not saying people are shooting at my sites. I'm just saying it's happened in other places, and it makes me wonder sometimes whether or not that's what's happening, because sometimes holes just show up in the roof and you don't know why. Or maybe it's ice. I don't know. I'm never there. So, Clear Life Media says, I went to an AM transmitter one time, and it was cool to see how it goes into the ground. Yeah, AM, for those who don't know, is amplitude modulation, and it uses the ground a lot more. Well, it uses the ground, period, as opposed to just the airwaves. And they are very different sites. The actual tower you see at an AM site, and AM sites are really easy to figure out because they're usually several towers on the same site, and they're usually in a line or some sort of a pattern. And so you can tell AM sites because their towers are shorter, but there's more of them. And basically, the tower itself radiates at the frequency of the station. And if you were to grab the tower and be on the ground at the same time, you would probably die because the radiation would go through you, and it would not be fun. And it would hurt while you die because it would definitely not be fun. So don't do that. But yes, AM towers are very different. I don't understand AM like at all. Hold on. I don't really I mean, I understand the basics of it, but man, how you calculate the radiation of the tower, I don't know. I don't. You got to figure out how to tall to make the tower and how to design it so it can radiate, and how you can design a tower that's on the ground that radiates, is not connected to the ground. I just There's some things about that man, it just get it's interesting, but I just don't get it. That's a very foreign subject to me. Yeah, sorry. I think the bit rate goes low when I screen share, and therefore the audio gets lower too. It shouldn't. The audio should be constant bit rate. Um, I don't know. That's a weird one. I have to. It's not the first time that's been a complaint. I wonder if I have variable bit rate turned on when I should have constant bit rate. Either way, I'll look at it later. Um, oh yeah, good point, Eric. It's also electricians and switching stations or substations. They definitely get hit too. There's a there's a guy out of Canada. I think there's a YouTuber out of Canada who posts some videos about all his electrical line work, and I think he's mentioned that they get shot at as well. Not like people, but like their facilities get shot at. People like to shoot at drones. That's true too. I don't. People like to shoot lots of things. Nothing against shooting, but don't shoot at stuff. Just um, I will stop shooting at towers. Please do, Joe. Please stop shooting at towers, drones, substations, or basically anything that isn't a target. Joe says, if I don't like the song, I drive to the site and start shooting. Well, or here's a thought: change the station. Just say it. Um, I give it a one with a bullet. That's a good one. Um, my audio is not going through OBS right now, so I don't think it's an OBS issue. Probably your favorite brand of encoders, if I had to guess, or settings, wrong setting that I need to fix. Joe says he loves the lineman from Canada. Yeah, I forget the guy's name or channel. Maybe one of you guys can, who's an admin, can post it. What is that? Oh, it's Bob something. His name's not Bob either. Like, it's funny. It's called Bob's Decline, or Bob's Decline. Yet it's not. His name's not Bob. Which I always thought was kind of weird. And he explained it one time, but I don't think I followed at all. Uh, yeah, change the station. Never would have thought of that. Yeah, you'll save on ammo and a bunch of other things too, like prison time. Don't want to go to prison. Or maybe you do. Maybe you actually love the free time. I don't know. I'm just. Oh boy. Um. So yes. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today is the emergency alert test or system test that is Wednesday at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. You could do the math to figure out where it is you are. Basically, every 3 years, the EAS system needs to do a national periodic test, and basically, it's required by law. And so they're going to push out a test to all TV, radio stations, and your cell phone, cable stations, satellite stations as well. And it's going to come out and say this is a national periodic test of the emergency alert system, blah 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 blah, and everybody's phones and devices will go off, and hopefully it all works better than the last time, um, because there were some big issues last time, and I think they've worked pretty hard to fix a couple of them. I don't know if they've all been fixed, but we'll see. And It used to be called the EBS, or the Emergency Broadcast System. Now it's called the EAS, which is the Emergency Alert System. I know a couple of you here are not from America. You probably have a different system where you are. Um, our EAS system is pretty robust, but it's based on, excuse me, it's based on what we call LP1s and LP2s. So in every market or city area, there is a primary station and a secondary station, and they relay the messages. And then, as a TV broadcaster or radio broadcaster, we listen to those stations for our area, and then we'll rebroadcast that signal. But because it's kind of like daisy chained, it's like the old telephone game where the message starts out at the beginning and it's high quality, but then as you relay through each point, the quality does degrade. Now, the content of the message never changes. That's the fortunate part. It's not like the telephone game where the message gets distorted, but the quality changes. And there were a couple times, or a couple places last time, where the audio was so bad that you almost couldn't tell what it was. So I hope that we're going to see a lot better results on Wednesday because from what I understand, certain places, I don't know the particulars, but basically people have decided to start getting the feeds directly from FEMA or, yeah, it's FEMA, right? Yeah, I think it's FEMA. And they've changed the way the feeds come out, and then now hopefully people have figured out where the problems were last time. But basically, if you have plans on Wednesday at 2:20 p.m., I would make sure your phone is either on silent or that you accommodate for an interruption. I think, is it Joe was saying they're doing a big presentation at that time on, yes, I will be in a room of 500 people at 2:20. I am hopefully, I'll just put it this way. I'll be curious to see how that goes. I would love to see a video of the room just light up like crazy, because that'd be kind of funny to see everyone's device go off in the room. But yes, and Joe obviously is not a big fan of the U-Ray. And so it probably is the U-Ray. It probably is. Yes, Bob's Decline. I do not believe they have 4K in prison. Sorry. They probably don't even have 720p. They probably only have SD. So just to make you mad. Yeah, EAS. Got it. Yep. Nil says they did that last month in Germany with sirens and all. Yeah, no, we don't do the sirens part. At least pretty sure we don't do the sirens part. It's just over TV, radio, and cell phones. And I'm not sure how the cell phone thing actually works. Like, does that come from the provider? It must come from the provider. Eric says he once had an Amber Alert pop up during a video shoot. Yep. Oh, Amber Alerts are. I love the idea of an Amber Alert, but I question the execution because a lot of times, well, I should say, we've gotten Amber Alerts at 2 o'clock in the morning before, and most people are sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning. So while I understand you want to get the message out there, the audience isn't exactly the one you want because they're all sleeping. So I question the effectiveness of an Amber Alert at 2 o'clock in the morning. That being said, I reside in an awfully populous state. If you told everybody to look for somebody, a missing kid, chances are people are going to see that kid because we're pretty populous and there are lots of people around. So I don't discourage them. I just wish they didn't come off at 2 o'clock in the morning and wake everybody up. Same thing goes for, we have a system here where if we have like a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, that they will call your phone. and those go off sometimes in the middle of the night, and it's just a thunderstorm warning. Why is my phone going off? Because I don't want a thunderstorm warning to ring my phone. I want a tornado warning to ring my phone. And I don't think you can differentiate on our system. And so we sometimes get calls in the middle of the night for thunderstorm warnings. And most of the time you can sleep through a thunderstorm. But anyway, so that was basically, yeah. So that's a good point, Eric. I didn't think about that. But yes, an Amber Alert is basically a missing child, or missing person. Um, and a lot of times those will go up on the billboards around the interstates, which I think is a great place for them to go because that's where you're likely to actually see the car or person in question because they're trying to flee or go somewhere else. Ringing my cell phone I don't think very helps a lot, but that's my opinion. So, what else did you want to talk about? We talked about the emergency transmitter visit and how heat's not a good thing. We talked about the upcoming EAS test. Um, oh, I should say, interesting little thing because we have sub channels. On our TV station, there's a dot one, and then there's several sub channels. And the EAS, or I should say, the National Periodic Test, has to go on all sub channels. So we had to buy a special uh, is it 12 by 12 router? Think Blackmagic Video Hub, but custom, not Blackmagic. And we had to basically buy a box that we run through our subchannels through. So they all go into the input of the box and they come out. So input one goes to output one, input two goes to output two. But if given a GPI trigger or a contact closure, they all get switched to input 16. So it's a 16 input. I don't know why I couldn't do that before. So usually it's 1-to-1, 2-to-2, but on a contact closure, they all switch to input 16. And that's how we can change all of our subchannels to air the EAS crawl or EAS alert message as a full screen instead of a crawl at the top of the screen. We just switch it over to be a full screen and then pass through the audio. And then when the contact closure or the GPI is turned off, they all go back to 1-to-1, 2-to-2, 3-to-3. And so we actually had to put that in, and that simplified our EAS setup so much. That was a huge efficiency in terms of getting EAS to work, and we got rid of a lot of keyer cards and a lot of extra stuff that we didn't need anymore because we had previously made it really complicated. And by using this custom 16 by 16 router, essentially, we made it dramatically simpler to do EAS, and can't wait to see that actually work on Wednesday. So that'll be fun to see. I mean, I've tested it before, but to actually see it work will be will be really nice. Let's put it that way. So there's two ways to do it. You, in theory, have to do, if you're a TV station, you have to do a audible and visual alert. So on our primary stations, what we call our dot one, like our main station, we just typically do a crawl across the top of the screen. And then we will cut the audio and we'll play the message. But on our sub channels, that are simply what we call pass through. So basically, we get the signal in from the provider and we just pass it on to you. We actually just cut the feed to a different, like I was saying, a different feed of the router, and you'll just see a static message that's visual. It says, this is a test of the alert system, and then the audio will also be on that message as well until it's done, and then it'll flip back to the video. And there's two kind of, I guess, trains of thought. Crawls are less invasive, and you therefore can still see the programming, but they also require keyer cards, and they require a lot more coordination. Whereas the router for the subchannels, we can just simply switch a feed. It works. You go back, done. It's a lot easier, a lot more resilient, a lot more dependable, I should say. So we do a crawl, a visual crawl with an audible warning on our main stations, the ones that are in HD, and then the SD subchannels, we just do a image that our EAS receiver generates. So the box that does the EAS alerts, it receives the LP1 and LP2. It can generate video only in SD, I think. Yeah, it's only SD video. So it just generates an SD video feed that goes to our sub channels. But since we have channels that are HD, we have to generate that with a keyer card. And so we generate a crawl for the HD stations. So the issue, at least we've had recently, I should say recently, a couple years ago in our old setup, we did not have it set up so it was live, because the National Periodic Test is a live feed. You don't get to record it and play it back. You have to switch it and air it live. And we were not set up for that. We were set up in what they call a forwarding mode, where basically the message comes in, the box receives it, and then it plays it back when you tell it to. And that does not work for the National Periodic Test. It has to be live. So that changes the way you do alerts, because you're going to get a live feed in. And so we had to redo our setup to accommodate that. And before that 16 by 16 router, that required a lot of work to have the audio and video, or the audio, come from one place, and maybe the crawl be generated by a keyer card. And what I mean by a keyer card is basically a custom graphics card that is designed to key video over a feed, kind of like I'm doing with chat. This chat message is keyed over the video, and so there are dedicated cards that'll do that for you as well, and they're several $1,000s US to just key a graphic over. And now we basically eliminated all of that. We just said, forget that. We're not doing that. We're going to just do this switching to the graphic or full screen graphic, because it's just a lot easier and a lot more dependable. Smart hub sounds pretty slick. Yeah, it's not a smart hub. I forget who makes it. It's very, it screams like 90s feelish from like the front panel. But it totally works. And it has like custom software on it, so that it does this feature where you can send a GPI in instead of a serial command. You basically just tell it, hey, do the switcheroo, and then it all happens. Good question, Nils. So, as a broadcast station, we are required to do a weekly self test. So every week, once a week, at a different time, it's kind of randomly generated. We have to send a self test out, and basically we say, this is a test. This is only a test. This TV station is conducting a test of the EAS system, EAS, and it's for the following areas, and this is only a test, and then we're done. So we do what they call a required weekly test, or RWT, every week. And then there's a monthly test that the state sends out. So once a month, there's a test that comes from the state FEMA organization, if you will, and or FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, is they're the ones who respond to the natural disasters here in the U.S. And so they're the ones who set out this test nationally. Then the statewide people do their own test, and then we also test locally. So there's 3 different levels. And so that's how we can test beforehand, and we can do a weekly test or whatever as many times as we want. It's just up to us. We just have to log it and say we did it. And so we've tested it several times. We can't test the national test, but we can generate our own test, if that makes sense. So, um, but yeah, so we talked about that. We talked about this. Oh, I did my final, not my final. I did my third game sports gig last week, where I ran audio by myself. Went pretty well. The broadcast was fine. We just had a lot of setup to do, and so we were very pressed for time. But we got it done, and so the game went off well. I was so busy, I only got to take one picture. I realized we were like at halftime in the game, and I'm like, I have not taken a single picture today, which for me is very unusual. So it wouldn't be any different than the pictures you've seen before. It was the same truck from 2 weeks ago, same audio board, everything like that. So the pictures look the same. Different stadium, of course, but basically the setup was a little bit different. But just because we had to run more cables and do a couple things differently. But basically, that was my third gig in 3 weeks. I'm off now, or I'm not doing any more gigs until November, and then I'll be done for the year. We did our first university, not our first university, our second university gig, football game last week, and it went well. We had changed some things up. We added a sideline reporter, which was interesting. It actually worked out well. Using a wireless system that I forget the name of, Boya, I think it was Boya. I never heard of it before. It was Boya Wireless. I don't know. It was a weird system, but it worked. We used a Pile audio mixer. Not a fan. That fed a Mackie mixer, that then fed into vMix. So it was not a great setup from an engineering standpoint, but it worked. I would totally do that differently if it was our stadium. But the university does not actually own a football field. So we go to the local high school. And so we don't get to really dictate what equipment is used. We only can bring our own and modify the setup. And so we kind of have to bring our own stuff and set it up every time, which creates certain issues and hassles. But it worked. I mean, the game was fine. The broadcast was good. We did a couple of new things, made a couple changes for next time already. So maybe some Saturday, when I'm down there, I can take some video and kind of show the setup, what we do down there. I mean, it's probably seen parts of it already on my channel at various times. We use vMix. The university exclusively uses vMix for both everything, football, basketball, everything. So it's a vMix production. And then we have two wireless cameras, two or two hardwired cameras, two wireless cameras. We have graphics from production truck via NDI, and they're usually automated, but the automation system is broke right now for some reason. So we had to run the graphics manually, but it was fine. So, so yeah. Let me go back to the chat. Yeah, more cables, more setup time for sure. We ended up running 3 different malts, which in hindsight I would have probably done differently, but first time doing it, having some issues, so we basically ran the malts and did it that way instead. But definitely felt that my elbow was still sore from winding up 3 different malts, because audio cable gets very heavy. Nils says, so it's very similar to how it works in radio. There was a video about it in Girling. Yes, Girling Engineering did a video. Um, he played the alert audio. Um, I would never play the alert audio. I do not think it is smart to do that. We kind of had a back and forth. He's perfectly fine doing it because it's not a broadcaster. But as a broadcaster, I would never air the audio unless it's actually part of a test. We are not allowed to air the audio unless you're actually doing a test. So basically, it's just a good rule to never actually use EAS audio in anything you do. I would never recommend you even record the EAS audio unless you're doing it for legal reasons, like to prove that the test worked. But you can get in trouble if you air EAS audio on a broadcast. Ask Fox because they, I don't know if they actually got fined or not, but there was talk of them getting fined a lot of money because one of their promos for the Super Bowl, I think it was, had EAS tones. And most people don't realize that the tones are encoded audio. So the tones actually mean something, and or I should say the duck farts, as we call them. I'm not sure why they're called duck farts, but that stuff actually has means something. And if you replay that audio back to a box designed to receive it, it'll decode the audio and play it back. Now it's in theory got a time on it, but I wouldn't trust the time to work, so I just would never use the audio. Even on YouTube, I would not use the audio for an EAS test. Just not a good idea, in my opinion. But yes, Girling Engineering did a great video about that. If you want to see some of the gear and some of the screenshots of different things how it works, great video. I'm not going to get into that. I just prefer to leave that alone. But yes, go check out Girling Engineering. Yes, Pile, Cheapo, Boya, Cheapo, yeah. YouTube says it's coming to me in 1080p. Really? I wonder why. Jay, you achieved. Woohoo! I wouldn't say I called him out on it, but I did throw it out there as a comment on his video, basically that I would not use this audio on anything. And he went back and forth, and he said that his dad, who is a broadcaster, said he was fine. He is. He can use the audio on YouTube. There's no rule about that. He's not a broadcaster, so he does not have to follow the same rules that, I would in my day job. I just, as a recommendation to people, say do not use that audio. It's not what it's designed for. It's designed to do a certain thing and has a purpose. It's not designed to be part of your promotion. And this came up because, as even Jeff Girling commented, that his dad told him, we get spots, commercials that have the EAS audio in them because people, create this commercial in their basement or wherever. I'm just being facetious. In their editing suite, they're like, ooh, I'll use the ES tones. That'll be great. So people are like, I'll use the EAS tones. It'll be great. I'll give that cool sound effect. And then they'll send it to a TV station or a radio station, and we legally have to object and say, nope, can't do it. And if it somehow makes it on air, we absolutely have to pull the spot. So if you make a commercial or whatever and you send it to a broadcast station and it has ES tones, it will not air. It doesn't matter how much money you pay, it will not air. So that's why I was just like, don't even do it. Don't use them. Don't post, It's just smart not to do it because if you make a piece of content and then you want to air it on a TV station or a radio station, that piece of content cannot air. So it's best to not even use it. So I did post that on his comment section, and he commented back, and it was a good conversation. There's no problems or ill will there. I was just basically saying I wouldn't do it, and so I wanted to make that clear that it was not a good idea. And I had to remind people at my station today. I said, FYI, on Wednesday there's this test. We will not be airing the audio. Do not put it in a story. Do not put it on social media. Do not post it anywhere. Do not do it. We could get fined, and if it was an egregious violation, we could lose our license. So there's just no reason to do it. And so that's all I was saying about his video and his use of the video of the tones. Yeah, it's not worth it. It doesn't. There are other ways. There are other sounds you can use. You don't have to use the EAS tones. You can find different alert sounds and get the same feeling, or emotional response or whatever it is that you're trying to go for, without using the actual audio. So, anyway, do you have any other questions, comments? Did I miss anything? Looking through the list, I don't see anything I missed. So, did I miss a mess? No. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could use all kinds of sound effects. Just don't use the EAS. That's all I'm saying. So, um, think I'm gonna wrap this stream up. I want to thank you for being here. I do not think. Yeah, I don't think I'll be back next Monday. I think we have plans. So, I will probably take next Monday off. That may change. I don't know. I'll post in the comment or the community section on my channel if that changes. But I think I'm gonna be off next Monday. We will see. But if I am, I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Oh, I want to thank you all again, because let me go check my phone to get the latest number. But I am currently at 1,110 subscribers. So I'm averaging over 2 new subscribers every day. I think that is amazing. Very excited about it. And in terms of watch hours, because I was very, very short on that last time we talked about this, I am now at 2,217 watch hours. It is definitely growing and staying put. I should say, it's not going down. Let me rephrase that. So the watch hours are growing. So I feel like in a couple, maybe more months, we'll be to 3,000, and then it'll be monetized. As I said before, any money I get through YouTube will be put right back into this channel to buy gear or do whatever. I want to start making t-shirts with a couple sayings and sell them through the YouTube channel as well. So we're getting there. 1,110 subscribers. I think that's just incredible. So when Joe and Tony and Bob and everyone encouraged me to start a channel, I never thought I'd get more than 1,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd get 500, honestly. But I got 500 and then 1,000, and now I'm over 1,100. So I think that's absolutely incredible. So I thank you all for being here and making me part of your Monday and making me part of your YouTube experience. And I hope I bring you, joy and laughter and with a a sense of community. Because that's what I feel whenever I stream, which is why I like to stream. It connects me to people, and it is fun to do. And so I want to thank you all. And so you all have a good night, and I will see you guys soon.